Hello and welcome to this week's edition of What's in the Night Sky. This week I'll be talking about the Sea of Showers on the Moon, Venus paying a visit to the angry eye of the Bull in Taurus, and our constellation of the week is Pegasus, the winged horse. Let's begin with the Moon. So here we are on Monday the 6th of July, and we can see that at around 10:30 Jupiter and Saturn are rising, followed by the Moon at around 11:30. And the Moon this week will rise a little later each day until by the end of the week it's rising at around 1 AM. Let's take a look at the phase. So if we zoom in, you can see that we begin the week on Monday only one day past full moon, and we have a gibbous phase which is waning towards last quarter, which it will reach on Sunday the 12th, as you can see. And on Sunday the Moon will appear to be only 3 degrees away from Mars, which should put them together in the field of view of a pair of binoculars, which could be quite an interesting thing to look at. So if I just put binocular field of view on, you can see here we have the last quarter Moon, and here we have Mars. If you'd like to have a go at spotting one of the features on the Moon this week, why not have a go at the Mare Imbrium, or the Sea of Showers, sometimes known as the Sea of Rains, and I'm just ringing that with my mouse now. And you can see that here on Sunday it lies quite close to the terminator. And the Sea of Showers forms one of the eyes of the Man in the Moon that we talked about last week. And it's thought to have been blasted out by a huge protoplanet-sized object. Interestingly, the Sea of Showers was home to the Apollo 15 mission, which carried David Scott, James Irwin and Al Worden to the Moon, and it landed in 1971, and it was the first of the Apollo missions to use a lunar rover. And the samples that they brought back show that the impact that formed the basin of the Sea of Showers was formed around 3.8 billion years ago. And interestingly, Apollo 15 wasn't the first mission to land in the Sea of Showers, and it also wasn't the first lunar rover, because in 1970 the Soviet Luna 17 mission also landed in the Sea of Showers, and it deployed the first ever lunar rover. Moving on to the planets now, and I'd like to focus on Venus this week. And until recently, Venus has been an object in the evening sky, but now it's made the transition to a morning object where it will remain for a while. And at the start of the week, we will find that Venus is rising quite a bit after 3 AM. And if I just go to Monday the 6th and take us to 3 AM, and if we look to the northeast, you can see that the Pleiades star cluster is starting to rise, and that is a hint that the constellation of Taurus is about to come up. If we move forward through time, you can see that Venus is coming up in Taurus sometime around 3:30. And at the beginning of the week you might find Venus a little tricky to spot because it isn't coming up that much before the sun, and it may be lost in the morning twilight. But as July goes on, Venus will be rising earlier and it will become easier to spot. Now on Saturday, Venus will be just 1 degree away from the star Aldebran, which is the angry eye of the Bull in Taurus. So let's go to Saturday the 11th. So here's Venus and here's Aldebran. And just as Mars and the Moon fitted nicely into the field of view of a pair of binoculars, so too should Venus and the star Aldebran. And Aldebran is a star that is larger, older and redder than our Sun. So see if you can spot some of the red colour of the star. And it's known to have at least one planet orbiting it. And in about 2 million years' time, NASA's Pioneer 10 space probe will pass by Aldebran. And Pioneer 10 was the first mission to the outer planets, launched in 1972, and it carries a plaque that contains diagrams depicting people and depicting the location of the solar system in case it ever encounters intelligent life. So maybe in 2 million years' time, when it passes by Aldebran, somebody will be looking at that plaque. You might also be able to pick out Venus's phase with your binoculars, depending on what kind of binoculars you have, or if not, if you use a small telescope, you will certainly be able to pick out Venus's phase. And you'll see that at the moment Venus is showing us a crescent phase. Our constellation of the week this week is Pegasus. So let's take a look and find Pegasus. So we'll go back to around midnight. And you can see here we have Pegasus, so looking towards the east at around midnight. And if we put the art on, you can see that Pegasus is a winged horse. And in Greek mythology, Pegasus sprang from the neck of Medusa when Perseus beheaded her, and Medusa was a beautiful young woman before she was turned into a monster by the goddess Athena, and Athena turned Medusa's hair into snakes and made it so that anyone who looked upon her face was turned to stone. And Pegasus is one of the largest constellations in the sky, and the part that stands out the most is the asterism known as the Great Square of Pegasus, which I'm tracing with my mouse pointer now, made up of 4 stars, all of a similar brightness. And if you would like to try to locate Pegasus, then one way to do it is to do some star hopping. So last week we talked about the constellation of Cassiopeia, and we said that if you find the Big Dipper, which is one of the easiest patterns in the sky to spot, and take any of the stars on the Big Dipper's handle, go through the pole star, that will take you to Cassiopeia. And once you've got to Cassiopeia, then if you draw a line from the North Star, here we go, through this star called Caph at the end of the W of Cassiopeia, that will take you to the Great Square of Pegasus. You can also find it this week quite easily by looking for Mars and looking directly above Mars once Mars has risen. So if I just take time on a bit, here we go, we're at 1 AM now and Mars has risen and Pegasus, the Great Square of Pegasus, is immediately above. I'll finish now by talking about the International Space Station. There are lots of opportunities to see the ISS this week, all occurring in the early hours of the morning. I'm going to show you one on Wednesday the 8th as an example. So here we are, Wednesday the 8th, and it is going to occur at around 2:23 in the morning. So if I move us on to 2:23, and here we go, you can see it has made an appearance, and it will take 5 or 6 minutes to traverse across the night sky. If you would like a full list of International Space Station passes for your location, then as always you can visit NASA's Spot the Station website. So that brings me to the end of our night sky tour for this week. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have clear skies wherever you are.